Hi everybody, happy Wicked Wednesday and welcome to Shivers. With Mother's Day coming up this weekend, today we're talking all about mothers and motherly stories in horror movies. Kicking it off, when you think about mothers in horror, most times the first person that you think about is Pamela Voorhees. Pamela Voorhees is the mother of Jason Voorhees in the Friday the 13th franchise and was one of the biggest slasher twists back in the day. Jason Voorhees is really one of the most famous horror movie characters of all time, but the original killer in Friday the 13th was not him, it was his mother, Pamela. When Jason was a kid at Camp Crystal Lake summer camp, he drowned in the lake due to the counselors messing around and basically not paying attention. Years later, we believe that the ghost of Jason is killing off all of these new counselors, but we come to find out that it's Pamela who has come back to the camp seeking revenge for her lost son. Viewing a typical slasher movie from the perspective and motives of a grieving mother really gives the story and the movie such a humanistic side, which makes it a whole lot more believable. That helps you also empathize with her by understanding the love and loyalty of what you would do for your kids. A mother's grief on her lost son turned delusion is really relatable because no one wants to ignore our problems and go on like nothing ever happened. The music in Friday the 13th itself is all about mothers as well. When you hear the infamous line of "Chi chi chi ma ma ma," it's actually "Hey ma," just slowed down and spread out. Jason has more of a personality than the teenagers do, which causes us to not really care about the teenagers since they are simply there to fulfill stereotypes and are kind of like sheep for the slaughter. The next movie to really talk about is Goodnight Mommy. This came out in 2014 and was remade in 2022. It really follows the story of these two twins whose mother comes back from a cosmetic surgery looking and feeling nothing like she was before. Their house is really in the middle of nowhere. It's in the middle of summer, and she is in her bed resting and healing while the twins just play and basically take care of themselves. They start to really doubt that this woman who came back from the hospital is actually their mother, so they play tricks on her and trip her and do everything they can to really see if she is who she says she is. This creates really an existential struggle for identity and fundamental trust issues. This is actually based on a real psychological condition called Capgras delusion, where you believe that a family member has been replaced by somebody different. This includes the twins themselves, as they're basically masks for each other, which represents the idea of the same thing. Spoiler alert, at the end of this movie, there's no twins at all. It's just one boy who's made up this alter ego, imaginary friend, what have you, of his own self, so that he has somebody to play with, somebody to react to his long-lost mother with. She is their mother, his mother, but he's essentially losing his mind. So, next movie is Mama. This is, I would say, kind of the epitome of a motherly horror movie. Came out in 2013. This movie revolves all around the idea of what it takes to care about kids, to love kids, even if they're not your own. Basically the synopsis is that these sisters, Lily and Victoria, their parents die and they vanish into the woods, prompting a search by their uncle Lucas and his girlfriend. And 5 years later, the girls are found alive in a decaying cabin in the middle of the woods. Lucas and his girlfriend welcome the kids into their home, but as the girlfriend tries to reintroduce the children to normal life, she finds that someone or something still wants to tuck them in at night. This someone or something is Mama. This is this supernatural entity that has taken care of these girls in the woods and fed them and given them a home, really truly taken care of them. And the lore behind Mama is that the ghost that is Mama has lost children of her own, and so she has either offed herself or died of some natural way, died of heartache essentially, and has come back as a ghost to take care of other children. You see this in like The Curse of La Llorona as well, and many other stories where these ghostly figures, all they know is to be a mother, to take care, to nurture, and so they come back as ghosts to essentially do the same thing. That goes along with the horror itself of the only thing that women are good for is quote unquote being mothers. And if you're not a mother in your life, maybe you'll be damned to do so when you're a ghost. I think that's scarier than anything else. But that's also just another perspective on the movie itself. And really just everything we're talking about today. The next one to talk about is Barbarian. This came out just a couple years ago, 2022, I believe at this point. And it's a very unique movie. The review that I put out for it is still out there, so if you want to dive into more of the details, please do. But it's weird. It's really scary and very weird. It is an interesting take on motherhood and this same idea that I'm really talking about, that this woman, this creature almost, is essentially bred and created to just be mother. It's this inbred woman who is trapped in a basement, and the only thing that she has to watch all day, there's no windows, there's no nothing, is just this VHS of how to breastfeed children. So when she finally finds actual human beings, she tries to keep them, and what we see as the audience is torture them. But what her perspective is that she now has children to take care of. And at one point she even tries to breastfeed one of them. And it's this same sort of idea that even in the most scary of senses, the only thing that keeps you human as a woman is being a mother. So, this kind of bleeds right in to the next one, Rosemary's Baby. So, I know we've talked about Rosemary's Baby a lot. It is a classic. It was released in 1968, but it really revolves all around the same sort of thing. Rosemary, this very average woman, all she wants to do is be a mother. She wants to be married. She wants to be a mother. Of course, this was a lot more common back in 1968, but we still see the same themes today. She fails to conceive with her husband time and time again. It just causes a lot of issues in their marriage. They then move to New York City into an apartment, and almost immediately she gets pregnant. But she starts to not believe that the baby is human. So she goes to the doctor. She tells the doctor this. Doctor tells her that she's crazy. She tells her husband. Husband says she's crazy. She never really even gets a say after that point as to what happens with her herself or with an actual baby either. All along, the doctors are telling her what to do. Her husband is telling her what to do. And it's not until it's time to give birth that she finds out what actually happened. She has become the vessel to take care of the Antichrist. The movie itself was even written for a release of June of 1966, which is 666, because it said that the devil would be arriving on that day in the world. So this goes along with everything as well. And even though she gives birth to the Antichrist baby, she still, after it has given birth, picks up the baby and tries to defend it from all these other people who are trying to snatch it away from her. We see this in the most recent The First Omen film as well. This woman doesn't know that she has given birth to the Antichrist, essentially, and as soon as she does, she picks up that baby out of natural instinct and tries to defend it from all these people who are trying to take it away from her. So it is an interesting duality to look at, especially in horror films. This also goes along with the next movie of Mother. This was released in 2017. This is, I would say, probably one of the weirdest movies I've ever watched. We follow Jennifer Lawrence and somewhat of a star-studded cast for this indie-ish movie. And the entire movie, we don't get anybody's name. Jennifer Lawrence is Mother. Her husband is him. All of the other people who come in are just one-named characters. Young man, old man, anything like that. But Jennifer Lawrence and her husband are living in this abandoned and oldly burned down Victorian mansion, and they are fixing it up. While they're fixing it up, she's pregnant. They want to have children. They want to raise a family, and all of a sudden these strangers start coming to the door. So it's first an old man, next is the old man's wife, after that is just random people. And all of these people are very warmly welcomed by her husband, and her husband starts to sort of belittle her as more and more people come, because she's asking normal people questions of, why are all these people coming to our house? We live sort of in the middle of nowhere, and you're just welcoming them in, you're letting them in. I don't even know who they are. You don't know who they are. She then finds a picture of her husband in one of the strangers' luggage bags, and she's like, how do they know who you are? And instead of acknowledging that, he says, well, why are you going through their luggage? So it's all about the crazy woman. You must be crazy. You're asking too many questions. But at the end of the movie, it's very similar to Rosemary's Baby in that the father / husband is a writer, and he just wants inspiration for a new book. So he has essentially gifted his wife to this satanic cult for the sake of story inspiration. So he lets all these people sleep in his house and just writes the story of the things that are going on and the things that he's seeing. So at the end of the movie, she gives birth, and all of these strangers that are in her house eat her baby and fulfill some sort of a ritual, and that's it. Movie's over. We don't really get any closure. We just get an understanding of why this has happened. So if you're into indie movies, I would say watch this, but it is mother-centric in the title, in the name of Jennifer Lawrence, and just in the same sort of format of Rosemary's Baby. Next one to talk about is The Babadook. I know I have expressed my dislike for The Babadook before, but it still deserves a spot on this motherly list. Released in 2014, Babadook, the movie, centers around a single mother trying her best with a very badly behaved boy. Their house is falling apart, they're delinquent on their rent, and all the psychological toll of this can be seen on the mother's face. She comes across a pop-up book about the Babadook, and on her bookshelf as she's choosing to read to her son before bed. As she's reading, it's evident that the book is not right and has a slow burn type of scare throughout it. The idea behind the Babadook himself is that this creature terrorizes people when they believe that he is real. The more that you deny him, the stronger he gets. The strain of the threat of the Babadook is seen on the mother as her psyche deteriorates throughout the film, and can also be seen in the increased intensity of her son's freakouts that all stem from the Babadook getting into their heads. While this seems like a straightforward psychological ghost story, the Babadook himself has become an icon. It's all about the fear of accepting your true self. The more you deny it, the more that it lingers. This is also very telling of how much adults and parents and their traumas and everything that they try to keep in, no matter how hard you try, it does bleed into your children. If you are afraid of the Babadook, your child will know that. If you are stressed about your house and your rent and behaviors, your child will figure that out, and they will take on some of your issues as well. So this is not only the straightforward scare of being a single mother with a bad kid, but also the scare of what can interrupt an already kind of crappy life. The last movie to talk about today, which sort of falls into this list, but also sort of doesn't, but I wanted to add it anyway, is Coraline. This is all about, from the motherly perspective, mothers who are doing their best, and the best is still just not good enough. So, of course, we know the story of Coraline by this point. Coraline revolves around a young girl named Coraline moving into a new home in a new city with her mother and her father. They kind of brush her off and focus mostly on their work, leaving her to explore the house and the grounds. She talks to a young boy who lives there, and he says that his grandma owns the home, but he won't go into the house because her sister, his grandmother won't go into the house because her sister has disappeared. Coraline's move is less than great for her until she wakes up one night and finds her way through a secret door to her other family. A mirrored house and a family in a world where everything has button eyes. Venturing to the other family each night, Coraline is in awe and in love, telling her normal mother and father that she wishes she could be in the other world forever. After making that wish, she goes back to the other world and things turn awry, the other mother being somewhat threatening and giving Coraline the opportunity to join them forever by having her eyes being replaced by buttons. She attempts to talk about this with them and her newfound friend there, but he can't talk, and we find out that this was the punishment from the other mother to him. We then find out what happened to the other mother, and this is representative of a child eater, keeping the souls of past children trapped behind a mirror in the hallway after they accepted her button ideal. Coraline challenges the other mother to a game of hide and seek and says she and the other kids can be freed if the other mother loses. The game is a deal, and the other mother does what she can to cheat, but Coraline succeeds and finds out that one of the kids that she freed was the homeowner's sister, the grandma's sister, whose soul was trapped there. This is all about being careful what you wish for, but it's also about children, like I said before, who just want more and want more and want more, and the lack of gratitude that comes with it. I think it's natural for children to say, like, I hate you, mom and dad, or anything like that, being defiant, especially after uprooting a life and moving somewhere and just told, like, oh, get out of our face. So this is, I guess, sort of a warning. Make sure you treat your kids right. Let them appreciate you. Take time with them. And also from the kids' perspective of appreciate your parents. Appreciate what you do have. Truly being careful what you wish for. So that concludes our list. For all of you mothers who are listening, happy Mother's Day early. And let me know, what's your favorite mother in horror? Your favorite motherly horror film? Hopefully it made the list. If not, let's talk about it.